Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The government has taken the first step towards creating a sardine industry in Tasmania. It follows new research showing there's an abundance of the fish in our waters, but the Greens are sceptical if the plan can balance the economic benefits with potential environmental impacts.
Commercial fishers in Tasmania have long advocated for a local sardine fishery. Now it's a step closer after new research from the Institute of Marine and Antarctic Studies found there's around 210,000 tonnes of the fish along the state's coast.
There is the view, and we're exploring this further, that we can harvest some of that biomass on a sustainable basis.
To do this, the government this morning released 4 development guidelines: environmental sustainability, proper governance, a good economic return and its benefit to Tasmanians.
Some of our members would have loved the ball to be rolling sooner, but we need the science. We now have 2 assessments that show very clearly a significant biomass of sardines around the coast of Tassie and the strong potential for a long-term sustainable fishery.
The model for it would be based on the sardine industry in South Australia, but the Greens are concerned about the potential ecological and biodiversity impacts if a fishery went ahead.
The Tasmanian Liberal government does not have a strong track record of sustainable farmed fisheries. They absolutely have let the community down on salmon farming.
The Resources Minister ruling out the use of trawlers and opting for purse seine fishing nets, which target fish closer to the surface and don't make contact with the seabed.
Can we balance these things out to ensure that we don't do any long-term damage to our environment, and that is what we can do.
The government is likely to start consulting the public from early next year. Anthony Dodd, 7 Tasmania News.
Disturbing footage has emerged of a motorcyclist slamming into the side of a car east of Georgetown. A police investigation is now underway as the car appears to pull out of a side road into the biker's path, with claims the driver failed to stop and help.
It seems like an ordinary Sunday ride, this motorcyclist enjoying the moment as he travelled along Bridport Road at Pipers River. As he approaches Weymouth Road, a ute pulls out. The rider slows, but it's too late. The front of his bike smashed on impact. 7 Tasmania News has been unable to verify the footage posted to Facebook anonymously, but it appears to show the ute taking off without stopping to check how the motorcyclist is.
It's total dismay that people would do such a thing and not stop. I mean, the driver obviously didn't see the motorcyclist, but to have that sort of impact and then leave the motorcyclist on the road, lying on the road, is totally unbelievable.
Police have confirmed they've received a report about the incident on December 3rd and are investigating. Without confirmation of the circumstances, the Tasmanian Motorcycle Council nevertheless says such accidents are common.
Up to 80% of motorcycle accidents are caused by a third party or involve a third party. I'd say there's maybe a lack of respect, but a lot of people just don't take enough care and look about what they're doing and what's coming, what's going.
The council calling on drivers to be more vigilant this summer, with an influx of holidaying bikers expected on the state's roads. Melinda Ogden, 7 Tasmania News.
The death of a Brighton man who died following a 2-week manhunt near New Norfolk is being examined through a 4-day coronial inquest which started today. The court hearing, police allegedly heard a single gunshot, retelling how the car burst into flames, ending the tense chase.
It was a manhunt that began and ended in dramatic circumstances. 33-year-old Robert George Gregg shooting at police on September 28, 2022, near New Norfolk. The Brighton man sparking a 2-week search ending in bushland in the Nugent area on October 10. His death today the subject of a coronial inquest. The council assisting Cameron Lee retracing the final moments of the chase. Evidence from those on the helicopter suggests they observed Mr Gregg's vehicle accelerating extremely fast and erratic. as it travelled through difficult terrain. One constable described hearing a single gunshot and how the vehicle caught fire and the deceased was believed to be inside. Photos not shown in court today described as too graphic. Mr. Lee noting 3 potential causes of death, including a gunshot to the head as well as asphyxia. His father, Gary Gregg, the first witness on the stand, again reaffirming a statement he'd previously made, blaming Tasmania Police for the death of his son. A former girlfriend saying she doesn't believe he was suicidal. Fine, happy and smiling, and was close to the point of handing himself in. The pilot flying the helicopter at the time is expected to take to the witness box tomorrow alongside the paramedic who was on board. A fire investigator from the TFS is also set to speak, with details from a post-mortem to be revealed later this week. Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
Ships from both the American and British militaries are to be fitted with life-saving technology from a Tasmanian business. The company, based in Hobart's Derwent Park, securing million-dollar contracts, helping to keep those at sea alive.
In an emergency, these inflatable life rafts could be the difference between life and death.
The life raft and the slide inflates within a period of about 30 seconds. And then following full inflation, they're ready to evacuate.
Tasmanian-based Life Raft Systems fitting locally built products on 2 sets of international military ships. Installing its type of marine evacuation system to 8 British Royal Navy vessels for $6.5 million.
This is where the technology was developed. This is where the expertise is.
The company also doing similar work for the US military in a $2.7 million deal.
For right now, it's 3 vessels. Contracts will last until 2030.
It's probably the largest order book that we've had since we started the company a bit over 32 years ago.
There's only 3 manufacturers who build this kind of emergency system in the world, and LSA's factory in the outskirts of Hobart is one of them.
We are still the lightest, safest, most compact system on the market today.
The new projects mean the company can increase work for staff who currently churn out 4 units a week.
We employ Tasmanians from across a broad spectrum of people.
Putting our state on the world stage when it comes to keeping those at sea safe.
You can not only evacuate able-bodied persons, but if there's an injury or a stretcher case, then you can get those off quickly and efficiently as well.
We treat them like parachutes, only we have 100 people in our parachute.
Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
There are growing concerns frontline legal services could become out of reach for vulnerable Tasmanians under possible federal government funding cuts. Tasmania Legal Aid says it hasn't been allocated funding in the budget to meet its growing workload after the Federal Circuit and Family Courts merged in 2021. The Greens are calling for the shortfall to be filled.
We should be seeing an increase to legal aid funding, not a decrease.
The Attorney-General's office says the federal government has recently announced its largest ever increase in legal assistance funding under a national scheme. 2 Tasmanian electorates will be key battlegrounds when the federal election is called early next year, and 5 local industry groups are getting in early, banding together with a 7-point wish list for those on the campaign trail.
From mining to clean energy, forestry to fish, these Tasmanian industry groups represent very different products, but they have the same message for whoever wants to take the wheel in Canberra next year.
Our resource industries are the backbone of the economy.
And they have a 7-point wish list locked in. At the top is a reform of federal environment laws.
There's an opportunity to really take the handbrake off this economy and get things moving.
In particular, they want pollies looking at the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Act, which is behind stalled decisions on Macquarie Harbour fish farming and the Robbins Island wind farm.
How you actually make those laws more effective and more timely to get outcomes is the critical thing to be able to achieve a balance between real sustainable outcomes for the environment, but also some genuine industry and economic opportunity.
Also demanding a modernisation of the freight equalisation scheme, which is supposed to bring the cost of shipments across Bass Strait in line with mainland highways. and to lock in support for major renewables projects and Marinus Link.
We're just falling behind all the time. We need Marinus to be made an absolute certainty so that can form as our next export highway.
There should be plenty of appetite for Tasmanian issues on the campaign trail.
Brad and also lines are very much open as far as this coming election goes, and those 7 points are key to ensuring the prosperity of those regions.
And you can expect more demands from other groups as the election draws nearer. Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
A parliamentary standing committee has heard submissions and feedback over a proposed multi-level car park at the Launceston General Hospital. The group will assess whether construction of the facility on the corner of Charles and Howick Street should go ahead, with a decision to be handed down at a later date. Well, Hobart's Elizabeth Street Mall has been transformed into a celebration hub to mark International Human Rights Day. Dozens of Tasmanians coming together in song and dance, with some also trying their hands at arts and craft, all in the spirit of this year's theme, Acts of Kindness.
It actually shows the value that we place on the importance of coming together as a community, the fact that we value our freedoms, equality.
To know that we all can be treated equal as a human right. I believe that that's a really strong issue in these days.
Many also put together their own floral decorations, among other activities.
Heading into the Big Bash break at the bottom of the Sheffield Shield standings, the Tigers are left to rue the braid snap, which saw them give away a draw on the final ball yesterday against South Australia. But the damage was done earlier in the match, including the loss of 4 wickets for 4 runs, just as Tasmania looked to have victory within reach, forcing the tail to chase 7 runs off the final over.
I mean, it probably shouldn't have been up to those guys. Personally, would have liked to seal it a bit earlier. It's a high pressure situation and it's got to come off for someone, and unfortunately it wasn't us.
They don't get a chance to atone until February. Aidan O'Connor's under-19 coach won't be surprised to see him for the Tigers this summer, expecting even higher duties to follow.
It's exciting. I think he's got everything to play for Australia. It's obviously, he's still very young, but you know, the traits that he's got as a person and as a cricketer are right up there.
The under-19s head to Adelaide tomorrow for the National Championships.
Yeah, really excited obviously. I think it's a good opportunity. Hopefully I can get some reward for effort from all the hours I've put in.
18-year-old Blake played the under-17 National Championships last year, taking 6 wickets and 3 catches in his 6 matches. Majuk Dang admits he is his own harshest critic when it comes to his role in the Jack Jumpers lineup. The 6'8" forward has had some standout performances this season, but still intends to sharpen his offensive skills.
I never want to be complacent. I want to keep getting better and better and better. I'm shooting 50%, I want to shoot 55%.
One person helping Dang is assistant coach Mark Radford, who's just inked a 2-year contract extension.
There was never a thought about either not taking on, you know, the extended 2 years or doing something else. I love the club and love where we're at and the direction that we're taking.
The team is heading to New Zealand to take on the Breakers on Thursday night for a shot at 5 consecutive wins, which would be the best streak in the club's history. Yeah, so far the best they've managed is 4, Kim, so fingers crossed they can get there.
On track for 5. Thanks very much, Nick. Jackie Harvey is in tonight and will join us after the break with the weather forecast. Good evening. 22 was the top in Launceston today, 21 in Devonport, Burnie a high of 20 and 17 in Hobart. 25 was the state's top in St Helens, 19 across Flinders Island, Smithton and Low Head and 13 in Lyweenie. Extensive low cloud is seen across the west and south of the state today, with patchy cloud elsewhere. Further out, thunderstorm activity is seen through central Western Australia and over the Kimberley. Tomorrow shows a ridge to the north of Tasmania, maintaining a west to northwesterly airstream over the state, with showers across the west, far south and northeast. We will see those west to northwesterly winds tomorrow reaching 25 to 35 knots and up to 45 knots in the south, swells up to 4 metres in the west and south and up to 1 metre in the north. A gale warning is current for the Channel, Southwest Lakes, Flinders Island and the southwest coast, and a strong wind warning from the central west coast right around to the lower east coast. Tomorrow's forecast now: 19 in Hobart, a shower or 2 in Geeveston, showers and 17 in Bothwell.
In the north, Launceston and Cressy, partly cloudy, reaching 20 degrees, 18 in Devonport. Burnie tomorrow becoming windy and 18, showers increasing in Strawn, a shower or two in Curry. St Helens and Orford reaching 21 degrees, Swansea 23 and partly cloudy. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast now. Thursday, widespread showers about the west and far south, isolated showers elsewhere. Friday, showers statewide, clearing during the afternoon. And Saturday, fine and cloudy conditions with westerly winds. Capital cities, 39 and sunny in Perth tomorrow. Melbourne, 24 and showers in Brisbane. And currently Hobart cloudy and 16, Launceston 19 degrees and Devonport partly cloudy and 17. And it looks like we can expect a few showers across the state over the next few days, Kim, but clearing up just in time for the weekend.
Good, if we get rid of some of that wind too, that'd be great. Thanks, Jackie. And that is all we have time for this Tuesday. As always, thanks for joining us. Good night, everyone.